Give me some other names that we should keep an eye on this upcoming season. That, yes, Caleb Williams is one, Drake May would be two, and then who's going to be that third quarterback off the board?
Sure. Like one name that kind of kept coming up when I talked to more people was Bo Nix at Oregon, who, I think was seen as a very flawed player playing in a flawed offense at Auburn. And I think he opened a lot of eyes with what he did last year at Oregon, and being able to do that again, even though he lost his offensive coordinator and even though he lost some offensive linemen in his sixth year in college this year, I think could get him in the first round discussion. And I think he's a little closer to that than some of the other guys. Now, there are guys that I think have more talent than him, and two of them would be Quinn Ewers at Texas and J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, where those guys have talent to potentially go in the first round. The question is, are they going to develop like they need to develop? Like they aren't finished products yet. When Trent Dilfer, who, and as sees all these kids from high school on up and has seen a lot of these guys through the Elite 11 program since they were teenagers, said Quinn Ewers has like a Jeff George arm, right? And I think when you watch Texas on Saturdays, you can see that. So, but Ewers is still pretty raw. So playing another year for Steve Sarkisian at Texas, does he get there where he's the third quarterback off the board? J.J. McCarthy's another one where he was up and down at points last year, but he won his first 12 starts at Michigan. So is he in the conversation? So I think those three names, Nix, McCarthy, Ewers, would be in the conversation. Jordan Travis at Florida State's another one. And I think that's what's so intriguing about this year's class is you got to clear one, you got to clear two, and then you've got like this clump of players where there's real talent and they're going to kind of duke it out for draft position over the course of the next 6 months.
I talked to a talent evaluator. This is after the end of last season, and he said he would lump in Michael Penix at Washington, and put him in there. And I think he's been around maybe 5 years. He transferred from Indiana, but
I think
6 years.
And that's the COVID thing, though. Like that's what happens. Like Jordan Travis is. Well, I said I think Nix is 5 years.
Okay.
But Jordan Travis is 6 years, right? And Penix is 6 years, and that's like the COVID effect. Is the guy's got the extra years of eligibility, and Penix is interesting because I think he's got some physical ability. But it's sort of like Nix a little bit in that, like, a lot of people didn't like his Indiana tape. And then he went to play for Kalen DeBoer at Washington. And I think there's that thing, like that you hear sometimes, is it the offense or is it the quarterback? And Bo Nix is going to have the opportunity to answer those questions this year at Oregon because he's losing his offensive coordinator who went to Arizona State to be the head coach. The question is with Penix, I think it's going to be a little bit more of, can he dispel all the questions that he had hanging over him at Indiana, playing in a little bit of a different type of offense at Washington? But there is some talent there. And he'd be another one. I should have thrown him in the mix, but that sort of tells you how big the group is too, is that there's a half dozen guys who I think have an opportunity to maybe play their way into the first round discussion, or at the very least into like the top 100 discussion.
What about Deion Sanders' son?
Yeah. So he's interesting because, he was a dominant player at Jackson State. And now what we're seeing more with these guys is they have the opportunity to transfer up. And so, now you're going to get to see him in the Pac-12 playing at Colorado. The word that came up with Deion's kid was the same word that came up with Drake May, which was smooth. Like he looks really natural playing the position, and now playing against better competition at Colorado, we should get a look at how he looks when everybody else has got the same level of ability that he does. Because remember, he was a guy who, coming out of high school, had the opportunity to play at that level, but wanted to play for his dad. And so we haven't seen him in the context of like the FBS, like Power 5 level. And now we're going to get the chance to see him do that at Colorado. And and the cool thing about it is we're going to get to see him do it at Colorado, where in a lot of games, they're going to be at a talent deficit. So NFL evaluators are going to get the chance to look at him and see what it's like when he doesn't have a talent advantage going against the other team.